I told a few people I was going to do this. They're like, why are you putting a paralytic agent into your penis? So how does this work?
Right. So we inject Botox right into, like as if we do the P shot. So we inject along the shaft into the erectile tissue of the penis. And the P shot is using PRP. That's the original
platelet-rich plasma.
Platelet-rich plasma, the natural growth factor from your own body. And that will send signal to make the tissue healthier, more collagen, more microcirculation. And erection is based pretty much the amount of blood flow into the erectile tissue.
Okay.
Now, Botox works by relaxing the smooth muscle outside of all the blood vessels. So it just like open the gate for the blood to flow in. So that's just allow more blood flow into the shaft of the penis.
Okay.
And therefore, another side benefit is that when not stimulated, like at rest, men also enjoy the size a little bit bigger.
So increase size and girth even if you don't have an erection.
Right.
You guys, I'm here with... Your name is like the one I probably am the most prone to butcher of all names that I've tried for like the past decade on my podcast. Khanh Nguyen.
You got it.
Khanh Nguyen.
Perfect.
I'm very phonetic, so your name looks way different than it sounds. Khanh Nguyen. I'm just going to call you Khanh for the podcast.
Please do.
Okay, so first of all, if you're watching right now, all the show notes are going to be at bengreenfieldlife.com/regen, REGEN. It has been a crazy last few days, and I want to hear about your story about how you got into this, but before that, tell me like a brief overview of everything that we've done. It's Friday today. I walked in on Wednesday, and you have basically packed a lot into these 3 days.
Right. So we've been preparing for this, and this is like a typical package that we offer for our clients, and a lot of them are from out of town. So day one, what we did was we removed the first liter of your old plasma.
Of my plasma.
Of your plasma.
Yeah. Okay.
And that is, you are young and healthy, but still, there's still a lot of senescent byproducts, inflammatory products. So we remove 1 liter and we replace with just a liter of IV vitamin just for the whole
almost
space.
like a Myers cocktail kind of thing. So I was mildly functional on Wednesday.
Right.
Yep.
And then followed by the full Regen face treatment. Using young plasma, and also we added exosome PRP activated with laser, and it's called the V-cell stem cell therapy. And then to top off, we did the microneedling using salmon sperm.
Salmon
DNA.
sperm on my face. We will get into this. I have questions about putting salmon sperm on your face, but we'll come back to that. And then you did the thing that I'm sure my wife will be very happy about, but that's also a little bit awkward for some people to talk about. But then we moved to my penis.
Right. So we moved to the penis, and the same thing. We use the same cocktail of potent regenerative product, young plasma, exosome, B-cell stem cell. With
needles, injections, yes, you guys, it's a thing, and it's not as bad as it sounds, but there are needles involved.
Fully numb, right? Yeah. So it's not painless, but it's probably 1 to 2 max. So we make sure that people is very comfortable. And on top of that, we added 100 units Botox. Yeah. And it's called a Botox.
Yeah, which we'll also talk about because, again, my wife was like, why are you going to get a paralytic toxic injected into your dick? So we did that, and then came the super interesting part with young plasma, which I'm still, if you're watching the video, I'm on my last bag, and the bag literally says on the outside of it, I can read this to you, 18 to 25-year-old male donor plasma. going into my body right now.
So that's part of day 2 and today. So day number 2 was to remove the second liter from you, so for your own plasma. And then we put in 2 liters of this young plasma yesterday. What else did we do yesterday?
Young frozen plasma.
Young frozen
Yeah, and then we did
plasma.
shockwave, which was like a treatment on my joints. Yep.
We did that. And how do you feel?
I feel like I've done a lot of stuff, obviously, but I feel really good.
Yeah.
I want to explore in a little more detail what these protocols are,
Right.
because this
Yes.
is like the future of regenerative medicine. I mean, your place is called Austin Regenerative Therapy,
Right.
Because it's what you do. But before that, you are obviously not from here,
Right.
and people have mentioned to me a couple times you have a very interesting story of how you got into all this. So tell me
Yes.
about that.
So just real brief, I'm originally from Vietnam.
Okay.
My dad was a physician.
Beautiful place, by the way. I was telling you, I did a triathlon there.
Yes.
The food was amazing. The culture of the people. Yeah.
I want to go back. So I always wanted to become a physician, and I ended up having to escape as a boat person with my older sister. So we were 14 and 15 at the time. And it's kind of ignorant and desperate because it was very risky and unsafe. But I jumped on the boat out of faith. It's a little raft that only fit 20 people. It's supposed to be a big ship, and it turned out not to be. Most people turn around, and the last minute, when the anchor was pulled, I just jump over. I'm like, I really want to be a doctor, and I want to come to America to follow my dream. So I just jump over. My sister follow, and we just floated in the ocean for 7 days, 7 nights. No food, no water. Anytime there's a little wave, you hear people praying. But we made it. And
to America?
We made it to Malaysia.
Okay. I was going to say, America on a tiny boat like that would be quite an adventure.
And the ocean was like a swimming pool. Otherwise, we would not survive.
Yeah.
By the time we hit from the river to the ocean, the only container of water just knocked over. So no food, no water. We ended up using my raincoat as a sail. And then we kind of licked just one lemon that my grandma gave me. So we all share, we lick on that one lemon, and the condensation from the raincoat. That's how we survived.
How long were you on that boat between
7 days,
Vietnam
7
and
nights.
Malaysia? Wow. About 20 people.
Yeah, 20 people.
Oh my goodness.
Packed.
Was the boat, like you had your raincoat as a sail, but was there a motor or
There's no
oars
motor.
or anything?
There's no.
So you're just floating wherever the water's going to take you, plus your raincoat?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any navigator, any person who
So
kind
there
of sort of
was
knew?
a person who was, I think he was in the military, so he
Yeah.
did know a little bit about navigation.
Yeah.
But nothing.
Goodness.
I think it was just the wind and just by chance, just luck, fate.
And you get to Malaysia.
We got to Malaysia, and I'm a very good swimmer. So I was the first one spotted land. And I'm like, okay, there's no wind. We just like hanging around. I got impatient. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to swim in. And
But you have
luckily,
to already be a little tired from
I didn't
licking
know.
a lemon for your water and no food.
So people helped me back, and then by the time the Red Cross boat came out, dragged us in, and the minute I landed on the shore, we all collapsed. Like we have to hold on to our pants because there's no food.
Yeah.
The interesting thing
Hold on
is,
to your pants to keep them up because you lost so much weight.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I remember I was just drifting off, dreaming about water. The no food is no issues, but the water. So then we got to the Philippines for, so that's for the refugee camp. I stayed there for 6 months learning English, learning, the way of life in America. And then I got to California because my dad served the U.S. Army as a physician. So I got to come to the U.S.
So how old were you by the time you made it?
By the
to
time I
US?
got it here, I was 15. So I started as a sophomore in high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you get here, you're 15, you start as a sophomore in high school, and then you somehow get into medical school?
So I work really hard. I even listen to heavy metal music at night so that I can really understand the language. And I joined the swim team.
You learned English through heavy metal music at night?
Yeah, because I figure if you can...
That sounds so great for sleep.
If you understand heavy metal music, then
you can understand anything. If you can understand men screaming at the top of their lungs with very loud, high-pitched guitars in the background. Okay, I see the logic. All right.
That was very tough. So I got through high school, got a scholarship to USC, and then ultimately went to medical school.
Wow.
And so dreams do come true. And since then, I felt like my whole life there's a purpose and there's like a second chance. So every day I'm just grateful and really make the best out of it. And I feel lucky that I just know that's my mission in life.
Yeah.
Healthcare, taking care of people.
Where did regenerative therapy come into the scene?
Yeah, so I was a critical care hospitalist doctor for many years. And the last 5 years, I was doing night shift at a heart hospital. Mm-hmm. So I pretty much in charge of the hospital. And of course, things happen at night. It's in Texas.
Okay.
And from many nights of not sleeping, I got burned out, got diagnosed with Graves' disease. And then the last...
Is that like a thyroid?
Disaster. It's a autoimmune condition where my body attacked my own thyroid gland. Mm-hmm. And then one early morning driving home from my shift, I kind of fell asleep.
Oops.
And then
you were
luckily there's
not
nobody.
Driving a Tesla.
I was driving my Tesla.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yes.
Didn't quite kick in
yes.
the way it was supposed to?
It didn't have that
early Tesla.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that was the wake-up call.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I need to really take a break,
mm-hmm.
take care of my health, and learning about thyroid disease, autoimmune disease. I went to see a endocrinologist, a specialist, mm-hmm. and didn't really get to the right answer, the right treatment. And so I started to get into looking around, researching to how to really help myself.
Yeah.
So that's how it started.
Yeah.
And then I just never stopped. I kind of started to retrain and get more training in the dark side and started
Did you call it the dark side?
Yeah, because I used to believe my dad was trained as a physician in the French system.
Okay.
So in Vietnam, all the Western medicine, that's the way to go.
Right. Traditional
Chinese,
allopathic medicine.
So that was my mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used to just, just roll my eyes when people say holistic or anything like
holistic,
that.
alternative, woo-woo.
Alternative, woo-woo, right.
And yet now, the regenerative medicine that you practice might still fit into that category, but this is like the hot topic. All the Brian Johnsons and the Dave Aspreys and the, even, a lot of, big Silicon Valley tech entrepreneurs and billionaires, like they're getting into this stuff.
Right.
So all of a sudden you find yourself at a pretty important nexus.
Right. And it just by chance. Yeah. And again, everything I do is still based on the science behind it. Mm-hmm. But either you wait long enough mm-hmm. for a certain therapy to be the gold standard, to be approved, or you just look at the research, at the mechanism behind it, and also the test that I use for myself is that if if it makes sense, if it's safe enough for me and my family, then it's good enough.
Yeah.
And typically I try
putting
that.
Botox in the people's dicks.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Which we'll get to, by the way. But I think some of the things that you previewed as we were opening up the podcast are very interesting. I would say probably and I don't know if you agree with me, the biggest thing we've done since I've been here has been this plasma exchange. And this is something that many people might kind of sort of be familiar with if they saw back to a guy like Brian Johnson, his documentary Don't Die, the idea that he was using, I think, his son's young, healthy donor plasma. This is not from my son, by the way. I couldn't talk him into it. Didn't run it by him, actually. Didn't think of that. But this whole idea of fresh, young, frozen plasma.
Right.
I believe, if I recall, the original research was triggered by rejuvenation of a young mouse when they received the plasma from an old mouse, and vice versa, by the way. The young mouse became older when it got the plasma of the old mouse. So tell me about this plasma exchange.
Yeah, so I mean, we've been fascinated with how to stay young and live forever since the beginning of time. And there's always been a fascination with blood. We just kind of knew that there's something magical about our blood. And then it turned out to be through that breakthrough study, I think in the 50s, the parabiosis study where they suture
this
the
was
circulation
the rodent
of
model
the
study with the two mice connected together. Yeah.
Right. And it's proven the old mouse, when getting the transfusion from the young blood from the young mouse, become physically younger and also improve cognition, able to run around the maze, even the coat get
I believe
shinier.
also decreased inflammatory markers. I don't know if they tested telomeres, but a general youthfulness effect of the young plasma.
That's correct. And it's we believe that it's from this perfect complex mixture of all the components of plasma. There's over 10,000 of different protein, the fibrinogen, different fraction of albumin, immunoglobulin, and then there's 5,000 plus of different kind of peptides, as you know a lot about peptides, including the LL37 and the growth differentiating factor, all the growth factors. This is fascinating per cc of young plasma that you're getting. There's 1.84 billions of exosomes. So these are these are like the messenger tiny vesicle that really send messages and communicate to distant cells with the instruction of what to do.
A lot of people, fascinating. I think young plasma exchange is the same as something like blood exchange, but plasma is not the same as blood, right?
Right. So in whole blood, there's a mixture of things, platelet, hemoglobin, white cell count. So when we separate, the machine that we put you through, it will separate out the plasma and then it return your blood back to you.
Yeah. So the machine I was connected to, the people will see in the video, that will go along with this podcast. Again, you can go to bengreenfieldlife.com/regen to see some other videos and photos. But that was pulling blood out of my body via a needle in my arm. And that blood was then somehow having the plasma removed from it and then going back into me?
Right.
Okay.
So it's a few cycles. I think we had about 4 or 5 cycles. Each cycle, it will take your blood through the machine and the centrifuge separate out the plasma and that pour into the collection bowl. And then your blood get returned back to you.
And with the plasma, my old plasma, before I talk about the new plasma that goes into me, do you do anything with that old plasma? Is there any use for it?
Trash can.
Trash can. So that's just the old stuff, we're getting rid of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so it's just known that with age-related, just the aging process, and then environmental toxicity, medication, the whole mixture. You're healthy, but still, that's still kind of like the
right. Maybe an
dirty oil.
83-year-old would want my 43-year-old plasma.
Right.
But then
right.
I'm assuming, and I'm sure a billion people are wondering this, like with this plasma I'm getting put into my body, you don't just take plasma willy-nilly off the street from some random donor and put it into somebody's body. Where does this come from?
Right. So in general, plasma transfusion has been around for a long time, actually since the 20s, like after World War One.
That far?
Yeah.
Wow.
They used to treat soldier with shock, like in the battlefield.
Okay.
And so they're like, there's something very important and that really help with the body, the healing process. And that in the 40s, I think 1939 is when the FDA approved using plasma transfusion for various conditions, autoimmune condition, bleeding disorder, people in shock. Okay. So like in my field, in the critical care, we use that. People with autoimmune disease, we remove that because there's autoantibodies in that. So it's been around for a long time. So the safety of plasma transfusion is well established.
If I had autoimmune disease and I had a bunch of antibodies that were attacking my own tissue, like you had Graves' disease, for example, if you were to do plasma exchange and remove those, do you just not have autoimmune disease anymore? Or is this something that you have to kind of keep doing on a regular basis if you were doing it for something like that?
So I think that's one of the way to like go after the root cause. So if you have autoimmune disease, you have these antibodies for some reason, they lose control and they attack your own bodies. It kind of makes sense to remove that.
Yeah.
But then a lot of time we use a combination of modalities, so that's to remove. And sometimes we put in the young plasma with the right message, exosomes, stem cell, different.
And does somebody just like not have autoimmune issues anymore after that?
So sometimes you do that, and then with autoimmune condition, it's something that is not completely understood, but it's something that under stress, your body can kind of flare up again. And so that's why sometimes people, as needed, they'll have another round of removal.
Well, I think you were telling me off air earlier that you had like some billionaire or something who just felt incredible afterwards and they wanted to do it again. So people will actually do something like a therapeutic plasma exchange more than once in their lifetime.
Right.
Theoretically.
Right. And you can do it every 6 months, every year, and the volume is also something that is flexible. Sometimes people do like a mini exchange, meaning remove 1 liter and then put in 1 liter. What you had was the full protocol.
What's the full protocol?
Right. So you had 2 liters removed. So from whole blood, to answer your question from earlier, about 50 to 55% of whole blood is plasma.
Okay.
So you have about 5 liters, and then we remove 2. So a lot, quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then we replace with 3 liters of young plasma.
Yeah. Okay. So back to the young plasma. Can I close this, by the way? No,
it's perfect.
Back to the young plasma. Where does it come from? How do you know it's like safe? So
in general, the young plasma is collected and is mixed blood type sex. So that's in the hospital. For this, we've gone like even more careful. So these are pre-qualified college students, age 18 to 25, and they have to be pre-qualified. And once the plasma is collected, that will get put aside for culture and make sure everything is clear before that get approved to be used by providers like us.
So pre-qualified, they're testing for like viruses, pathogens, bacteria. I'm assuming to look at like Lyme, mold, things like that also.
Right. So the typical full panel for like if you would get blood transfusion
Same type of criteria that you would follow before this is going to go back into somebody else's body.
Right.
Do these kids get paid? Like, is it something that they get compensated for?
I think they get like a gift certificate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You know, you hear sometimes about how some people will get like a heart transplant and take on the characteristics of the person whose organ they received. Like in the back of my mind, I wonder, gosh, like I've gotten 10 liters of some 18 to 25-year-old, possibly multiple 18 to 25-year-old young men's plasma in me. Am I going to just suddenly like, I don't know, have a craving for Doritos or like a certain song all of a sudden that I never liked before?
So the typical thing that I've heard, the feedback from patient that I've worked on is as you experience, even that night, just a surge of energy and a sense of wellness, and then the mental clarity. That's like the most profounding things.
Yeah, I left your office last night. Mild histaminergic reaction, which you said was normal. So a little bit of rash, a little bit of hives, a little bit of itching. That went away by 5. I played 2 hours of pickleball, came back to my hotel room, had dinner, and was like up till about midnight reading before I was finally like, okay, I need to get to sleep. So I literally like took an antihistamine to go to sleep, so I was functional today. But energy levels just off the charts. And that was after 2 liters of young plasma, and then another liter went in today.
Right.
So I might just have to go,
right.
I don't know,
right.
just dance the night away or something.
Right.
But huge amount of energy. But then beyond just energy, you mentioned lower inflammation, removal of antibodies, exosomes. So you're probably seeing more stems, so more of your own stem cell signaling.
Right. And the interesting part is that based on research, when you get the infusion of young plasma into your body, the donated young plasma, it doesn't get old. It's the opposite. It's kind of influence, and it's influence that is called chronokines, which is kind of like the messenger for time, and it sends a signal to the rest of the body to kind of like reset the aging clock, and its effect kind of systemic.
Do people notice the difference? I mean, I know we'll get to the facial and stuff that you do, but do people notice like hair, skin, nails, anything like that, just from the plasma, not the other stuff?
Yeah, so from, as I shared with you earlier, that particular patient in his 70s, high stress, very successful, high stress, and not taking care of his health. Mm-hmm. And he's walked in kind of like older than his age, slumped over and just tired. And after the procedure, that weekend, I got a phone call, and then, as I share with you, he's like, you just need to know. Yeah. I've been up since 5 a.m. I've been through multiple business conversation, and my brain is on fire.
He felt like I felt last night. Yeah. Right. So when it comes to the things that this pulls out of your body, is there any effect on like cholesterol or lipids or anything like that, or other parameters people might be concerned about? Like if somebody, people go in and do like ozone treatments for their blood for mold or Lyme or mycotoxins. Is there anything this is pulling out beyond just like the rejuvenation of the young plasma? Anything in the old plasma that gets removed?
Yeah. So what's in plasma in general? There's salt, there's mineral, there's cholesterol, lipid, protein, hormones, exosome. So you do get that. And one of the concerns that we have to be careful is the clotting factors, which is part of the protein. Mm-hmm. And so that's why like people with clotting disorder, or if you're on blood thinner, then we have to be careful.
Because you're removing clotting factors unless you would risk excess bleeding potentially.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And so when you remove plasma, you have the option of replacing that with IV fluid. Mm-hmm. We can do that with albumin, which have more oncotic pressure, so it just holds space better. And then your body will reproduce more. Right? Yeah. It's fascinating. So just by removing plasma alone, definitely has it's kind of diluting effect, and it's helpful.
So you could theoretically remove plasma and then just like get an IV, and then you'd eventually rebuild your own plasma, or you could remove plasma and do a full young donor exchange.
Right. Which will take the benefit to the next level.
Right.
So now you have the influence, all the signaling from the complicated mixture of the plasma from young donors. And it's shown that as we age, your plasma composition kind of changes as well. Just like as we age, our hormones less, all the age-related process.
Yeah.
And so that's when we replace with young plasma, you benefit tremendously from that youth cocktail. And it's kind of like a complex, perfect combination of all the signaling agent, the exosome from young blood, which influence the epigenetic expression of the recipient genes.
Yeah.
So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
I'm very excited
I know you
about
did
that.
like a true age genetic analysis.
Right. So thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
Yes. So right now, this is part of the Golden Gift study. So we there's like anecdotal report when people get young plasma, they feel more energy, faster repair recovery, but that's never been a study. So the Golden Gift study is started in 2022, and I'm part of the co-investigator. And now we look at, before the test, we check for, and you did have that, a full panel of blood work, including inflammatory markers. And then we did the biological age to check for the methylation age, and also like all the age for the separate organs. And then we did a whole bunch of other tests to check for the brain, for the balance, physical performance. And for the 6 months post-procedure, we have the option, if people participate in the study, which is optional, then we repeat
you do a follow-up after the young plasma exchange to see how that affected epigenetics, longevity markers, blood markers, etc. So you're actually getting hard data. It's called the Golden Gift Study.
Golden Gift Study started.
Plasma is golden.
Yep.
Now I know this.
Yes. And it's only in Texas, and it started in 2022.
Okay, got it. Two things I have besides this, not talked about before on the podcast: salmon sperm and Botox. I think a lot of people are already aware of the idea of microneedling and facials, getting exosomes or platelet-rich plasma in your face. And when you told me about the salmon sperm, this was a totally new thing for me. I thought you were joking, but it sounds like you weren't actually joking.
Right, and you actually agree, and we apply that on your skin.
Tell me about this. Like, where are you getting salmon sperm?
Yeah, so this is like from
aquarium porn action going on in the back room in the office somewhere over there, or what? so tell me the story.
It's actually the salmon sperm DNA purification, and
who would have thought of this? Like putting salmon
Korean.
Sperm. I guess there's a lot of aesthetic techniques.
That's kind of like the capital of aesthetic. People really care about skin and how you look, and yes, so it's and that is the known glass skin procedure, where I don't know if you go to Korea, everyone's walk around with just perfect skin. And
because they're all using salmon sperm?
No, because they really all about a nice skin, so they have like the latest trick and technology and therapies. But salmon sperm is one of the latest. And of course I tried that on my face first. And I would just
guinea pig that on yourself first. Yeah. Right.
And by the way, I gave myself the O shot to check it out too. So a mirror and give myself the O shot.
Yeah. And is the O shot like Botox in the clitoris instead of the penis? Okay.
So the O shot is like the P shot.
Okay. So let's come back to Botox here in a little bit. I want to finish this salmon sperm thing.
Right.
So they somehow isolate the DNA from the sperm of the salmon,
and then it has like the ability to again regenerate more collagen and
You just apply that topically after you do like a little bit of
the microneedling
microneedling
to create tiny channels, and then we just let it absorb.
What do people notice?
Glass skin. So your skin is just glowy and refined, like the little lines and wrinkles, the age spot, and such.
How often do people do this?
So you can do that every 3 months. Every
Okay.
month, if you want to. Most of my patients, I recommend that once a year, you should just hit your hair, your skin, and your penis and vagina.
This isn't going to make a dent in like the world's population of salmon. Is that like, do I have to trade off longevity and beauty for not getting a fillet of Ora King salmon anymore at a restaurant, or
I
is
think
it sustainable?
Yeah, I have to look more into that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, obviously, males have a pretty infinite amount of sperm-based DNA. Females have a limited amount of eggs, so I doubt that we would run out of male salmon sperm, but I don't know. This is interesting. Yeah. You put it on my penis, too?
No.
Okay.
No, we didn't.
All right. So you don't use it there. You do
for the skin.
But you do Botox, and again, like I mentioned earlier, like I told a few people I was going to do this. They're like, "Why are you putting a paralytic agent into your penis?" So how does this work?
Right. So we inject Botox right into, like, as if we do the P shot. For Botox, it does.
Some people might not know what you mean when you say P shot.
Yeah. So P shot stands for the priapus shot.
Okay.
And it's the god of sex, and so it's
priapus.
It's known,
same as priapasm, the very uncomfortable 5 to 8 hour erection that sends some people to the hospital. That priapus.
Right. And so we inject along the shaft into the erectile tissue of the penis. And the P shot is using PRP. That's the original
platelet-rich plasma.
Platelet-rich plasma, the natural growth factor from your own body, and that will send signal to make the tissue healthier, more collagen, more microcirculation, and erection is based pretty much the amount of blood flow into the erectile tissue.
Okay.
Now, Botox works by relaxing the smooth muscle outside of all the blood vessels. So it just like open the gate for the blood to flow in.
So it's not directly vasodilatory, like something like, the shockwave therapy that people do with that wand, which you also did, by the way, thanks to the numbing lotion that I got, which made it a lot more comfortable. And it's not something like Viagra, which would also cause vasodilation.
Right.
And it's not even something like PRP, which would help to grow new blood vessels.
Right.
This is literally, almost think of it like a bicep that's contracting and thus restricting blood flow with too long of a contraction or something like that. So it's relaxing to allow for better vasculature.
It does relax the smooth muscle.
Okay.
So it's kind of open the blood vessel actually.
But if it relaxes it, you'd think that you wouldn't be able to get an erection.
It's blood flow.
Okay.
So that's just allow more blood flow into the shaft of the penis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And therefore, another side benefit is that when not stimulated, like at rest, men also enjoy the size a little bit bigger.
So increase size and girth even if you don't have an erection.
Right. It's just from like more relaxed and more blood flow.
Yeah. Now you've been saying muscle. I guess many of us are taught in biology that the penis is a gland, not a muscle. So how does that work?
The smooth muscle outside the blood vessel in the penis.
Okay. Yes. All right, got it. So we have muscles in our, even though the penis is a gland, there are muscles in the penis.
Right.
And that's what the Botox
and
is
it's
working
like
on.
tiny, it's like a rich network of microcirculation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously if you have erectile dysfunction or what's the disease?
Peyronie's
What is that again?
So Peyronie's is scarring.
Okay.
And it's actually most commonly is due to trauma related to sex.
Okay.
But any kind of trauma, and it cause scarring, and then the shaft curve, and that A, it can be very painful, but B, that would make penetration ineffective.
Yeah. Okay.
And that can be debilitating. And we use the P-shot to address that along with ED.
Okay.
With the addition of additional treatment around the scar tissue.
Yeah. Yeah. But then the Botox with the PRP plus the shockwave treatment, that all kicks in pretty fast. I mean, I was telling you, and obviously you guys hear this stuff all the time, so I'm not embarrassed talking about this stuff in your clinic. That I was literally I was getting dressed for pickleball last night, and I just got a random erection just getting ready for pickleball, which I wasn't that excited about. I mean, I'm excited to play pickleball, but not that excited to play pickleball. So yeah, it kicks in super fast.
Right, yeah. And it's just like Botox, right? And the important things to realize is that ED, even mild, is an early signs of maybe
cardiovascular complications.
So I always screen for that.
Yeah.
We can treat locally, but what's your lipid profile look like? You have high blood pressure and a risk factor, and then that's an opportunity to do screening for stroke, heart attack, because it's kind of like the same process.
Yeah.
So ED is kind of like angina for the heart, or TIA or mini stroke.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We've mentioned it a few times, at least I have, the shockwave thing. Even though I've done a podcast on that before, a quick reminder for people who may not have heard that. What is shockwave?
So I love to combine different modality. So shockwave by itself is a lone standing therapy for many things, ED, including ED and joint, tendon, ligament. The way it works is that it's based on the energy from sound wave to create tiny injuries in the treatment area. And then the body will recognize that as an injury, like, oh, there's a cut or there's an injury. Let's turn on the cascade of repair and regenerate and let's go to work.
Yeah.
And so I combine, as you experience before joint injection and before ED treatment, before the P-shot, I do the shockwave to kind of like prime the tissue to regenerate.
Yeah.
I love stacking. Just
I did
like you
a story years ago on Gainswave therapy. Both my wife and I have done it a few times since the shockwave therapy.
Yeah.
And back to my wife, the same idea of Botox, PRP, and the P shot applies to what you call the O shot.
Or the orgasm shot.
That's what the O stands for, orgasm.
That's the orgasm shot. And same principle, same idea. And we inject for women, either we collect PRP or other biologics, and then the area is numb, obviously, and then we're gonna inject around the G-spot area and also right into the clitoris.
Okay.
And that will create a healthier tissue, more lubricated, and improve in sensation and tightness.
When you say around the G-spot area, are you going externally or are you going internally?
Internally.
Okay.
Yeah. And
interesting.
Yeah.
And do you do like lips or anything like that with the O shot?
Yes. So it's called the wings lift.
Okay.
So that's where so the O shot is a functional procedure where you improve sexual function. The wings lift is just for aesthetic, but I love it because it's instant result and it's natural.
And is the wings lift using Botox or?
I use a mixture of PRP and filler.
Okay.
Sometimes, but it's just a very thin mixture of that, and then we inject on the lips.
Right. Lips. So it's like a facelift for the vagina.
And it's instant, and it's create that useful volume, and it's actually make the tissue healthier.
Interesting.
So it's very natural, very quick, and you see the result.
Yeah. Where do you learn about this stuff? Do you guys have like special secret Batman Cave conferences that regenerative medicine docs go to hear what's coming down the pipeline? Because some of this stuff, I'm kind of connected to the industry, but a lot of this is new to me.
So Dr. Charles Reynolds is the inventor of the P-shot and then O-shot, the vampire facelift, the wings lift, and the breast lift. Okay. So I got trained under him. Okay. And I got certified. And it's actually a very active group that we just keep up with all the latest research and communication. For example, I had a very severe case of Peyronie's from a young patient, and I added different peptides and great results. So we share that with the community.
So Charles Runoff is his name? Runnell. Does he have like a blog or a website or do podcasts, stuff like that?
Yes, he's very well known. Yeah.
What about some of these conferences like American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, A4M, RADFest is another one I hear about.
Right.
Do you go to these places?
I do. I presented at RADFest and I do participate in A4M. Actually, I got certified for my anti-aging there at A4M. And I'm very active with the SSRP, which is the Organization for Peptide Therapy.
Now, you have some kind of a weird peptide thing you were telling me about that's different than what I've heard of before. Something?
So the peptides that we all know is kind of like off the shelf.
Yeah,
negative
BBC
peptides.
157
and they are very effective. Right? They're very effective, very safe. But
if you get them from the right source.
It's very important, very important. And then knowing the sequence and when to use what is crucial. But then the next level is the personalized tailored peptide. And this is from Neo7 Bioscience. For this, I actually collect your blood and urine, and then that will get sent to the company to get analyzed. Using a machine learning platform. And it's fascinating because they really have like an extensive analysis of your blood sample and urine sample. And then the machine will kind of point out all the faulty pathways and then have the ranking to design the peptides to actually counteract and fix those abnormalities.
Give me an example.
For example, there's like 8 hallmarks of aging that they are targeting: the mitochondria health, microbiome, the DNA stability, and so forth. And then everyone is different. For example, my patient with ALS, the report is just all lit up all the pathway, that neuro-related pathway is all abnormal. And, like just normal aging, then you're going to see like telomere length attrition or inflammation or DNA instability. So just depending on the severity, they will create the peptide just for that individual, so N of 1. And it's a program that they would, once they have the design, they would send that off to a compound pharmacy to create the peptides, and that would last about 6 to 9 months.
So these would not be peptides that are named that you can read about. They're synthesizing their own short chains of amino acids to go to the areas that blood and urine tests have identified need them.
Right.
And then I'm assuming somebody needs to go through a doctor to do something like this.
Right.
And what's it called again?
Neo7 Bioscience. Yes.
Neo7 Bioscience. Okay. And you just come in, you do the test, and then are these like injectable peptides that you get?
Yes. So you're gonna get 120 vials, and then you're gonna keep them in the freezer.
Yeah.
And then typically it's gonna be twice a week injection, and then in between, just depending on the individual, we also add IV or nasal nab or sub-Q. And we have the option of using exosome for better delivery as well. So we have different options. And then on top of that, we sometimes use the augmented peptide, like the peptide that but they augmented to help out with its stacking. Right?
Yeah.
So a lot of time we use SS31, Clotho. Those are the common things, and then we use sometimes cerebral lysine. Just depending on what we want to address. So,
is there anything based on how much you're getting around and seeing the whole field of regenerative therapy coming down the pipeline that you've got your eye on, that you might add to the clinic, or that you're excited about, or that you think shows a lot of future promise?
So I'm always on the lookout for the latest, with enough understanding and science base. And right now, honestly, the Neo7 bioscience and young plasma therapy, it's kind of like, as far as now, that's kind of like the cutting edge. Gene therapy, hopefully we're on the verge of
I did follistatin gene therapy and had incredible results for muscle gain. Yeah, it's not legal in the U.S. yet, but
so that's
the idea of being able to
exciting.
turn on or turn off certain genetic pathways, in this case, follistatin for muscle gain, clotho for cognition. I think they're working on one for luteinizing hormone for natural testosterone enhancement. That's a cool field.
Right.
I plan on at some point doing a dedicated podcast just devoted to gene therapy. I did it with Dr. Adil Khan down in Cabo.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of few and far between and hard to come by.
Right.
Yeah.
Here. And I'm hopeful that, we just paving wave and then waiting for that hockey stick effect.
Yeah.
And with like quantum physics and machine learning, things just gonna happen fast. So I keep on telling people, my sons included, just stay safe. Just hang around. Exactly.
Hang around long enough, you might be that person who lives to 150. Is it easier from a legislation standpoint in Texas to practice like this? It seems like there's a lot of clinics like this in Texas.
So for young plasma, it's only in Texas as of now.
Okay.
And I'm part of the Golden Gift study. I'm a co-investigator.
Oh, so you can only do young plasma in Texas, like in the U.S.?
Right.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Right.
Because there are places I know of, like in California, for example, that advertise that they do TPE.
Right. So TPE in general
exchange.
is removing plasma, and then when you exchange, you replace with albumin. Typically, TPE means that.
Okay,
but,
so you're replacing with albumin, not with full young donor plasma, which you could only do in the state of Texas.
As of now.
Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So hopefully it'll be...
I think a lot of people, I'm glad we cleared that up, a lot of people think this is the same as therapeutic plasma exchange.
It's kind of under the same umbrella, but it's more specific to what you exchange with. Right?
Yeah.
So young plasma exchange is removing old plasma and replace it with, or exchange it with young plasma.
And I'm assuming it would be prudent, we haven't talked about this, so I might as well ask you while we're recording, that after I've done a protocol like this, like for example, I've been careful not to drink alcohol the past few days to get good sleep, to take care of my body, I've been going outside and grounding and earthing and doing all the healthy things. I'm assuming kind of like a stem cell treatment, the more I can do to be really healthy after this, including maybe even avoiding alcohol, things like that. That would be
avoiding
good idea.
alcohol.
Yeah.
As far as medication, you can go back.
Yeah.
But even just if you want the benefit to sustain longer and to make the best out of it, again, it's like the whole person approach. Eat healthy.
Yeah.
It's boring but important.
Yeah.
Manage
Go
your
to bed at a
stress.
decent time, which I have to do now because you gave me a red light therapy thing that I have to wear around my penis. So I've been getting into bed 20 minutes early so I can wrap that thing around, and that's a first for me, doing a red light specific
So that's
to
a pretty good stack, right?
Yeah.
The shockwave, the injection, the Botox, the red light.
We did a lot. Yeah. I feel incredible.
Yeah. So,
despite being up till like 1 a.m. last night, bouncing off the walls, I feel incredible.
Yeah.
So the name of your clinic is Austin Regenerative Therapy.
You got it.
I'll link to all that. If you're watching or listening to this, go to bengreenfieldlife.com/regen. I assume if people wanted to try something like this, they can just call and you screen them. And I know you had to find my blood type, and there's some other things that you need to do leading up so you get the right type of plasma. bengreenfieldlife.com/regen though. And then people can call you and schedule if they want to do something like this themselves.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Excited.
I tried it. So far, it feels pretty good. And yes, the Botox did not paralyze me. So I'm happy about that. I'll fly home tomorrow to see my wife. Hopefully she's happy too. Ka, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm excited. I love what I do. And it's great to have a chance to share.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people
I can't wait to hear
going
your
to be
results.
interested in doing this. So yeah. So check her out, folks. BenGreenfieldLife.com/regen. I'm at Austin Regenerative Therapy. Thanks for watching.
Okay, Ben Greenfield is here.
Here we go.
So this is day 1 of the 3-day session of young plasma exchange. So we're gonna remove 1 liter of plasma and just replace with a liter of IV fluid.
Oh, I thought you were going to replace it with like a liter of like
IV vitamins.
liquid hot magma or something cool like that, so I could be an Avenger.
If you have that, I would.
I want some Wolverine claws while we're doing this too.
Actually,
Always ready for the needle, bro.
he's looking right at it. And you
Yeah,
didn't
of
feel
course.
much, right?
No.
Yep.
Okie dokie.
So now the machine started. And so you can see this is gonna take his blood through the machine and it's gonna separate out the plasma and then it's gonna be collected in this bottle right here. And we're gonna show it to you, Ben. And then we put in the second IV line for some IV fluid. Your plasma is looking good.
I gotta call my wife to show her what this plasma looks like. Let's see if she's here so we can show her.
Pick up the phone.
Busy taking care of the goats.
That's so fun.
Yeah, they're pretty cute.
Oh my god.
We had to take them into the sauna right after this because they were super cold. So they hung out in the sauna for a few hours.
Oh my god, it's so cute.
Yeah, I think I mentioned on my intake form, but even though my body's pretty good, the only 2 orthopedic issues I have is I'm sure they're related to each other. I have some left toe pain and some left knee pain.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. Today we're gonna do the face and the penis.
Okay.
Tomorrow we're gonna do the joint injection.
Okay.
After the infusion.
Do the face and penis first. Those besides the brain are the 2 most important parts of my body. So yeah. Great.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is the Regen facelift. We use young plasma, B-cell, stem cell, exosome, and the salmon sperm to top it off.
Yeah, this isn't the type of thing that us men up in Idaho are known for doing.
So you're gonna set the trend.
I guess so. Like we almost try to make ourselves uglier.
Really? No.
You gotta look hard to kill. But I'm doing this.
You doing okay?
Oh yeah, fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
No worse than like a baby bumblebee sting. Barely feel it.
That's the goal. Hitting your hairline, even though you have a full head of hair. Almost done. So this gonna feel like a massage than the microneedle.
Okay.
So it's not that.
Did it?
We did it.
That was easy. All right, time for day 2. Day 2 at Austin Regenerative Medicine. Yesterday, I got my face injected, I got my penis injected, and today, back to longevity, young plasma infusion, and we'll see what other tricks they have up their sleeve and what they have in store. Yo, yo, what's up?
Okay, so today's day number 2.
Yeah.
Yesterday we did the first liter of removal of your old plasma. It didn't look bad actually.
Good.
But you did feel good afterward,
Yeah.
and was able to play pickleball.
Got a couple hours pickleball in.
Yeah. And we also did the whole high-end face treatment. Yeah. And then you did some red light treatment on the penis.
Yep, did the red light on the penis last night, and
Awesome.
I mean, it didn't hurt or anything.
Yeah. So today we're gonna remove the second liter.
Okay.
So after we remove the second liter today, we're gonna put in 2 liters of
Oh,
young
good.
plasma.
So I don't leave today
Exactly.
totally.
So you're gonna feel surge.
Cool.
A surge of
Cool.
energy.
And then there's like is there another liter goes in tomorrow? Or?
Tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
So that's the full.
Amazing.
That's I'm giving you like the full
Right.
protocol. Yeah.
Love
And it seems like the more volume people get, the better benefit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Totally not opposed to hitting a little shockwave on this
Yep.
guy if we want to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep. So that's the plan. Okay, so we're almost done with day 2.
Yeah.
We're down to the last
2 of 10 bags of plasma.
10.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow we're gonna do
full
another.
liters.
Yep.
Yeah.
How you
Another
feel?
liter tomorrow. I feel good. Yeah.
And then we hit the shoulder a little bit.
Yep. Do a little shockwave on the
shockwave.
shoulder.
1 more to go. The 3rd liter.
Yep. Yep.
And then we're gonna do the joint injection
Amazing.
with
Cool.
young plasma. Hi.
So
last day 3.
Yeah.
So did you play pickleball yesterday?
yeah, I had like too much energy. I was up till like almost 1 a.m. just like bouncing off the walls.
Yeah.
Like in a good way, just like too much energy.
Surge of energy.
Yeah,
I've heard
and
that.
I left here and I played like 2 hours of pickleball. It was weird. I was like itching.
Right.
Like my body was just getting used to everything. So until like maybe
Right.
5, when I leave for like 3,
Right.
I was like itching and I had some hives and those went away.
Yeah.
By the time I was like playing last night, those went away. And then I left pickleball and I was just like, dude, like I need to like go clubbing or something, like and dance and have too much energy. Yeah.
People like stay up
Yeah.
until like 2 or then get
I
up early.
instead just went home or took back to my hotel and I read a whole bunch and got some work done. And eventually I fell asleep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And the skin,
Yeah.
glowing, awesome.
Shoulders a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
You fixed it yesterday and then I just
Yeah.
messed it up
Right,
in a good way.
Right. But the infusion definitely would help.
Yeah, cool.
And
Got it.
we're
Like that
gonna do
shockwave
the
works
Yeah.
just fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. So let's go in here.
Yo, yo.
How was it? Yeah.
It was good. Getting those are stuff. Yeah, between that and all the other stuff, I'm feeling like a new man.
Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Amazing.
This is an incredible place and
Yes.
incredible experience. So thanks.
So see you next time. See you soon. for the
Yes,
next big
you
day.
will.
Do you want free access to comprehensive show notes, my weekly roundup newsletter, cutting edge research and articles, top recommendations from me for everything that you need to hack your life, and a whole lot more? Check out bengreenfieldlife.com. It's all there. bengreenfieldlife.com. See you over there. Most of you who listen don't subscribe, like, or rate this show. If you're one of those people who do, then huge thank you. But here's why it's important to subscribe, like, and or rate this show. If you do that, that means we get more eyeballs, we get higher rankings, and the bigger the Ben Greenfield Life show gets, the bigger and better the guests get, and the better the content I'm able to deliver to you. So hit subscribe, leave a ranking, leave a review if you got a little extra time. It means way more than you might think. Thank you so much.